Well, we had finished doing Extremis, Iron Man Extremis for Marvel, and I think that there was enough promise there. We knew we were doing something experimental and kind of learning as we went, but there was enough promise there that Marvel wanted to see if we could push it a little farther with the next one. One thing we didn't want to do was become complacent. I think after 6 issues of Extremis, we had sort of locked into a process and a thought process, and felt like it was probably too early to have done that. So I really wanted to bring in an outside voice. I think that the story we were telling was closer to a little independent film. It was, or even a play.
Mike started talking to me about it early on in the process when they were working on a test for one of the producers on this Loki project to see kind of what the look was going to be, that kind of stuff. And so they brought me on to work on that, to help with that. And then one thing led to another, and then next thing I know, I'm spending 4 or 5 months with everybody.
We brought Mark in to help us out. Mark has a film background, and we felt that bringing him in would help us tell the story better, because some of those problems we had with Iron Man, we just weren't able to solve ourselves in the amount of time, and Mark's experience would help us up the quality on what we were doing.
This is my first venture into any sort of animation. And it was a big learning curve for me working in this field. Worked in After Effects a lot, which I'm not. I'd used it a little bit, but it definitely, I got a little more acquainted with it.
Kneel, God of Thunder. Kneel before your conqueror.
Thor and Loki, Blood Brothers, is really taken from the comic called Loki.
The story of Thor and Loki is a story of Loki becoming the ruler of Asgard.
Kneel as all Asgard must before her new and rightful lord.
He has overthrown Odin, the All-Father, and has beaten Thor.
Thor, look at me.
He has determined to kill his brother the next morning. And then we follow the progression of events that take place while he's on the throne.
Loki is a character that has been showing up in the comics for 50 years now, something in that range, but no one had ever really gotten under his skin and really tried to explore what makes that character who he is.
Even though he is a god, that he's restricted to this one role that he has, and that's kind of what the comic brings out is there's this god that has all these powers, he can turn invisible, and he's this trickster, but he can't get out of his role, which is the trickster god.
I'll face revenge.
He essentially is trying to convince everyone that he deserves to be in power, that he's been wronged, his whole life, and that's why he is the way he is. And so he grabs the nearest person he can, whether it be a guard or whoever, and says, you're going to come with me and I'm going to show you why I deserve to be where I'm at. And so it had, even the artwork almost had a very voyeuristic perspective. And so we thought, why not just go a little bit further with that and give it sort of a handheld look when it's appropriate, almost as if there's always someone in the corner, spying or someone watching.
But never mind, Loki. I forgive you.
Since everything was revolving around Loki and his thought process and how he moved through things, we had to really focus on how we could bring out more emotion out of the individual characters.
Eternity comprises many such, and I know more of these than you.
I think with this one we really wanted to focus on performance of the characters. They were certainly a bit stiff in Extremis as we learned how to take still art and make it move.
Sowing sedition among our enemies, subverting his ranks through subterfuge and subversion.
In an effort to try to help just push the animation to the next level for Magnetic, one of the things that I suggested was shooting reference footage for the animators.
Order it done, coincident with my...
And so we would figure out what the key shots were that were going to be 3D, and then I would hire a couple of actors and try to recreate the exact camera angle, and basically they would act out the shot. We would play the audio so that it would be timed out.
Tangle a joint of beef before for a starving dog. When that hound, after long hours of begging, finally savages you and takes the meat, and your arm besides, must it feel shame? Or something closer to victory?
So we knew what the timing was, what the angle was, and come as close as we could on the composition. And then the animator could literally take that and keyframe every step of that action reference footage, and that's how they would build their animation.
And what it did enabled us to really work interactively with the actors to show our animators what to do, because the animators, they could work on a shot for 2 days, and depending on how it was done, it may be a complete redo, and we don't want that. Our timeline and schedules are so tight that we need to basically hit it as fast as we can.
Sometimes it worked better than others, but there are some shots that I think really captured some nuances of acting that we would not have gotten otherwise.